public speaker, and today I'm surrounded by 25 atheists. My first claim: atheists reject God, but they don't understand what they're rejecting.
Good afternoon, Dr. Peterson.
How are you doing?
So this claim here that atheists don't know what they're rejecting. My background is in studying to become a traditional Catholic priest, daily mass, daily rosary, going on long retreats, deep into the magisterium and biblical hermeneutics, like I was thoroughly in it. And it seems like I do know what I'm missing. Is there something that I missed over years of study?
You have any thoughts on this so far?
So far, no thoughts on it. I would say, just as far as Jordan Peterson and this first kid, the first kid came in with some good energy. Already off the bat, the first question that he's posing is atheists reject God, but don't understand what they're rejecting. I would say I see Jordan Peterson's point, and I think the fact where he's trying to allude to is you're worshiping something. You're worshiping some type of God, so you really don't even know what you're rejecting. So far, that's all I got. What about you?
One thing I like about Jordan Peterson versus a lot of folks we see online is that he actually is lettered. So he tends to give more reasonable commentary. However, I think as an individual, he's fairly unimpressive as a man. I wouldn't follow him. He's very emotionally, mentally unstable. And I did not know that this was about religion, because I would have declined to discuss this, because religion is a matter of faith. Those religious zealots who claim that they can prove their God, these persons are very disingenuous, dishonest, unrealistic. And, frankly, I'm concerned about their mental health. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a listen. I think we got psychopaths on both sides. Here we go.
Both this issue formally and living out religion so deeply?
Well, you obviously feel that you missed something when you were practicing for the priesthood. Your aim was off then. So there's always the possibility that it's still off now.
What was off about my aim in the first place?
I don't know. That might take a long time to figure out.
But it seems kind of like this no true Scotsman type of fallacy in which you're the arbiter of people's aims and how they understand those aims to be. How is it that you can claim that people don't know something that you know about their life despite not having met them?
Well, it's obviously a generic claim, just like the atheists claim that there's no God.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there. This kid is sharp. I don't know where they got these kids. I really surmise that these are probably kids who want attention. Often people want to be in the spotlight, whether they're qualified or not. But this kid is smart. He's very well educated. I am impressed. I don't generally trust people who want to go into religion as a profession. But I think this kid has some, he got the goods. But one thing I would like to note is that those persons who are either A, trying to proselytize, teach you about their religion, those people I question. And the people who are trying to proselytize atheism, those people I question. It's like, bro, let people do what they do, man. Stop selling your nonsense. You got anything?
Yeah, so far, what we're seeing in this debate is Jordan Peterson is debating atheists. And it seems that currently the student is framing religion and God, two different things. That's how I view it. Religion and God, two different things. Religion is the practice, I would say. God is a little bit different. You can debate this in a scientific way, but it seems that Jordan Peterson is allowing the kid to position the conversation into religion versus atheists. So believing in something and having these traditions and these practices versus not following these practices and stuff like that. That's what it seems like the kid is positioning this conversation. I wish Jordan Peterson would get right back on track and position the conversation in a scientific way, in a secular way. But yeah.
Generic claim. In your case, it would have to be specified more, and I'm not claiming to understand what was going on in your mind, but my experience with atheists is twofold. Is that they have a very reductive notion of what constitutes God, let's say in the Judeo-Christian tradition. And they've often been hurt by someone who was religious, or by the religious enterprise, or perhaps by God himself, so to speak, and that's left them with an animus.
But I think that you have a reductive view of what atheism is. You've defined religion so broadly to include any sort of having a
I think that was a fairly pathetic argument. And what people don't realize is that because Jordan Peterson unnecessarily uses polysyllabic words, people think that he's intelligent because maybe they believe he sounds intelligent. Frankly, I don't think he sounds very intelligent. I think he just sounds pedantic. And that being the case, you have a situation whereby he just said something that was pretty pathetic. When you actually break it down, when you're confident enough and intellectually capable enough to break down what he said, he actually used the same argument that a lot of 304s use, which is he said, who hurt you? He, in an academic fashion, he said, who hurt you? You don't like religion because you've been hurt by religion or hurt by a religious person. That's why. And I think that's a really disingenuous and very unimpressive argument. And so far, I'd give it to the youngster. But frankly, any male adult debating religion, I tend to question if you have true meaning in your life, because often those who dabble in abstraction, they lack things that are materially relevant. These are people who are not happy. These are people who are maladjusted, and they're searching for something else. And that's precisely why I'm always building community and saying, like, hey, get together in person, have great relationships with your romantic interests, with your friends, with your family. And these people are searchers because they're not happy. Jordan Peterson, of course, he has to rely on something else, be it an imaginary person, be it God, religion, because he's mentally unstable. He has a track record of wanting to take himself out. So would I ever follow someone who's not mentally sound? Absolutely not. And in fact, I think it's really a waste of time to let him too far out of the classroom. He should be hyper-focused in his academic discipline, because beyond that, he's just spewing the poison that lies within. Comments?
Yeah, I would say that to give Jordan Peterson, his due, as far as, he was one of the first ones that kind of came out, not one of the first ones that came out, but one of the first ones that got put in the spotlight of speaking about the radical left. Holding his ground and speaking about, I'm not going to conform to the radical left ways. I'm not going to use your pronouns. I'm not going to do these things because this is impeding on free speech, so forth and so forth. So with that being said, I would say that, with what Marquette is saying, facts in regards to, what Jordan Peterson brung forth to us all. In the beginning, when he started, it was valid. It was notable. It was needed. But the other things that he's went on to do, as far as being on, what is it, Daily Wire and stuff like that, it hasn't been too interesting, I would say. Good. Cool.
In life, any sort of cultural archetypes or having a metaphorical substrate, and atheism to you is a very specific type of like three people in the world that are these Raskolnikov type of, they want to get away with a perfect murder. It seems like you have the reductive view of what an atheist is.
Well, let's start with your claim. Mm-hmm. How do you define the God that you're rejecting? Like, what is God to you? You studied in the church, you found that unsatisfactory. How would you characterize what you rejected?
I think the average Christian believer, when they say that they're Christian and they believe, they mean some sort of God that is all-powerful, all-perfect, is somehow involved in the matters of this world, and that we look to them through wisdom and with the Logos incarnate in Christ. And it also seems like you don't believe in religion in the way that the average Christian says that they believe in religion. And there are as many gods out there as there are believers, because everybody has mutually exclusive and different views of what God is.
I think it's weird that before they got started, no one stated precisely what the argumentative point is. It's just basically like, hey, bro, sit here. We're going to send 10 kids at you, 20 kids at you, and then like go at each other. And this is frankly just an entertainment thing. And like religion adds up to almost nothing nowadays. And then you have people who will say, oh, well, God and religion is different. It's like, okay, well, if you didn't have religion, would you know of God? And the answer is mostly no. So your conception of God comes directly from religion. And this is the assertion that we are more clever or insightful or thoughtful than we actually are. It's like acting as though we thought of something new when really we're human beings, which means that most of what we know is from imitation, from learning, training, and conditioning. And I think this debate is really silly, and I think they both are not serious men. I don't think I don't think you can be a serious man and spend your time. Like, I look at this the same way I look at like two like low income men talking about like, well, who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan? It's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, both of them are paid. What about you idiots? So, anything else?
Yeah, I would say this is why I said in the beginning, I wish it was positioned, the conversation was positioned in a way where it wasn't, I mean, it could be religious versus atheist, but, you know, the kid kind of pushed it there. Like you said, there's no direction in the conversation. Jordan Peterson's first claim is atheists reject God, but they don't understand what they're rejecting. If you would have positioned it more into a scientific understanding where it's like, okay, well, do you believe that we came from nothing? Okay, well, how can you prove that? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Kind of have those conversations with them instead of the religious conversations. Because I do believe that there is a separation from religion and the belief of God. Because scientifically, if we just keep, researching and, pushing the needle forward of, where do we come from? Scientists even know that, well, before the Big Bang, what made the Big Bang happen? What's that? You get what I'm saying? So he could have had that type of, argument with the kid, but he allowed the kid to push him down a rabbit hole of religion. So, yeah. And so far it's favoring the kid.
Yeah, agreed. In case I have to step away for a moment, and do forgive me, I have scheduled around this, but I can't control other people's competence or timeliness. Can you just get the video queued up just in case you have to take control?
Yep.
I'm going to play on this.
So it seems
well,
like
if everybody had mutually exclusive views of what God is, no one could speak to each other. The mere fact of communication presumes a commonality of assumption and definition. And it's certainly not the case that I regard any archetypal manifestation whatsoever as equally religious. That's not.
So Jordan Peterson actually has a good point there, but he's not really addressing the argument. He's just addressing the young man's slight misstatement. And the young man basically slightly misstated that individuals have different meanings of what they're seeking to express when they use the word God. But yes, there is commonality, which allows us to communicate. So Jordan is basically saying you were imprecise with your language, but he's pushing it as though that itself is a argumentative point of his own, Jordan Peterson's, against the kid, when really you're just correcting the kid's English, and people who are not very sophisticated are watching thinking that he just made a point.
That's not a real claim. Let me give you an example. For example, there's a sub-narrative in the story of Moses where Moses is rewarded with a glimpse of God. Okay, and that's one of the ways that God is characterized in the Old Testament stories.
Yes.
Now, Moses is a faithful servant of God and a good man. At least that's the case within the confines of the story.
One possible interpretation.
It's the case within the confines of the story, obviously.
Well, not obviously. When we look at the Bible can't precisely say anything because there are so many different exegetical and hermeneutic views of this particular book, and that everybody has agreed everybody has disagreed historically on. It seems like even the most benign detail about a book this big, and it seems like you can only say that.
Bro, this boy done showed up looking like he worked at the local gas station, and he didn't cook Jordan Peterson, man. And he's correct. Jordan Peterson did the classic Bible thumper move, like in the story of. It's like, bro, shut up. Like, people don't even agree on what the story means and what that metaphor, that allegory is actually about. And there's contradictions within the Bible. You just have to say, I believe in this because I have faith. This kid is cooking right here. You hear me? Boy done showed up tacky as all get out, but one thing that's sharp is his mind, not his outfit. Wow.
The Bible says something if you first presuppose that it's univocal.
So your claim essentially is that Moses in the Old Testament plays the role of a villain or is irrelevant? Because the alternative claim is that he's good.
I'm saying that we can't know, because we can't talk to those authors.
If you are going to start with the presupposition that there's nothing I can say about any of these stories that you're not going to disagree with from the perspective that there are multiple potential competing claims, then I can't speak with you. So
we have a short time here.
It's not that you can't speak with him, it's that you cannot use your book as a viable argumentative base. You'll have to go outside of the book, right? The young man is basically saying that your stories are fake. They're questionable. So can you use something else to validate it? And I think this is very valid in as much as if you're describing a phenomena or something that is actually real, you can go to other sources to validate its existence or its relevance, right? So for example, if I say, hey, I'm Marquette Devon Burton, I'm an international businessman, you might talk to some folks in Puerto Rico. They say, yeah, he's A1. Talk to some folks in China. Hey, yeah, we met him. We did business with him. There's different sources that can verify the same thing pointing back to the center as opposed to using the direct or primary source. And so what Jordan Peterson is basically saying, you won't let me use the Bible to validate the Bible. You won't let me use the Bible to validate God. It's like, well, no, I'm not going to listen to Hitler explain why whites are superior. Let me go find another source to tell me why whites are superior. Maybe a non-white source, maybe an unbiased source. And so I think that, Jordan is actually throwing an intellectual tantrum right here. What are you thinking? Oh man, I can't hear Cooley. Can't hear you.
I'm good now.
Yeah,
you can hear me
now. Yeah,
okay, perfect. Yeah, right off the bat, I would say where Jordan Peterson, his debating strategy right here, he's on the defense. The reason why he doesn't have to be, because his first claim again is atheists reject God, but don't understand what they're rejecting. So he could have went on an offense and went into their worldview. Like, listen, you believe in nothing? Well, what do you believe in? Is it evolution? Like what epistemology? Where do you get your knowledge from? Where do you get your epistemology from? Where is it rooted in? Like he could have attacked them that way, but instead he's on a defense and he's allowing this kid to attack his book. Like, bro, when you get in conversations with people that if they don't believe in God, stay away from the book.
Right.
Away
Exactly.
from the book.
Exactly. And you know what? That's really what should make you scared of that person, is that they're so out of touch with reality. You're totally right. He's using the exact wrong thing, which lets you know that Jordan Peterson is so absorbed in the self and his own belief that he can't come to the middle ground and figure out how to exchange ideas. He's trying to force ideas. And this is very common among those who are religious. And frankly, to be honest with you, if we can presume that one of the religions is right and thereby probably the other ones are wrong, then the other persons who purport to be religious, these are people who are mentally ill, right? They believe in like an imaginary friend talking to them and giving them guidance and things like that. Because you hear Muslims and Christians and Jews might say, "Oh, Allah told me," or "Jesus guided me," or "God said," right? So if one of the religions is correct, then that would mean all of those other religions are basically homes for people who are mentally ill. And so it's like, well, when are we going to start getting these people help? Right?
Yeah, he could have attacked the argument like quick on his first one. He could have been like, so, question for you. How do you overcome suffering? The kid would have been like, well, I tried to do the right thing to correct the wrong things. The kid would have tried to appeal to some physical source so he can overcome suffering. Maybe talking to his mom or his father, he would have been yielding to people or the physical force. Then Jordan Peterson could have said, well, the difference between me and you, I can appeal to the same things that you appeal to on this physical realm, this physical world, but I can also appeal to something that's higher than myself. And then the kid probably would have came back like, well, yeah, I can make up imaginary things too. Well, mine is a little bit different because mine is rooted in, something that's stood the test of time, that's 2,000 years old. Like he could have said something that's a little bit more better, but yeah.